Once upon a time, nestled in a quiet valley where the whispering winds danced through the trees, there was a small village known as Eldergrove. This village, with its cobblestone streets and quaint cottages, thrived beneath the watchful gaze of the imposing Eldridge Mountain. In this picturesque setting lived a young woman named Elara, whose heart was as wild and untamed as the forests that surrounded her home. Elara was not like the others in Eldergrove. While most of the villagers found comfort in routine and safety, she felt an insatiable yearning for adventure and discovery. Each evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, she would wander into the woods, her faithful dog, Finn, bounding alongside her. The forest was her sanctuary, a realm where she could lose herself among the towering trees and the gentle rustle of leaves. On one particular evening, as twilight cast its spell over the land, Elara found herself drawn deeper into the woods than ever before. The air was imbued with the scent of damp earth and blooming wildflowers, and the distant sound of a babbling brook called to her like a siren. With each step, the weight of the village slipped away, replaced by the thrill of the unknown. Finn barked playfully, darting ahead, and Elara laughed, her spirit lifted by the freedom of the moment. But as they ventured further, the familiar trails faded, and she found herself in an unfamiliar clearing where a single ancient oak tree stood proudly at its center. The tree's gnarled branches reached towards the heavens, and its trunk was thick with age, covered in a tapestry of emerald moss. Curiosity sparked within her, and she approached the tree, her heart racing with excitement. It was then that she noticed something peculiar, a shimmering glow emanating from a hollow in the trunk. Intrigued, Elara leaned closer, peering into the darkened space, and gasped as she spotted a small, intricately carved box nestled inside. The craftsmanship was exquisite, adorned with swirling patterns that hinted at an age long forgotten. "Finn, look at this!" she exclaimed, her voice a mix of wonder and disbelief. The dog sniffed the air, his tail wagging furiously as if sensing the magic that lingered around them. With trembling hands, Elara reached into the hollow and retrieved the box, feeling the coolness of the wood against her fingertips. As she opened it, a gentle breeze stirred, carrying with it the scent of blooming jasmine. Inside the box lay a delicate silver pendant, shaped like a crescent moon, its surface shimmering as though it held the light of 1,000 stars. Elara's breath caught in her throat. She had never seen anything so beautiful. In that moment, a voice, soft yet powerful, echoed through the clearing. "You have found the moonstone pendant, Elara. Your heart has called to the magic of the forest, and thus your destiny begins to unfold." Startled, Elara glanced around, searching for the source of the voice, but there was no one in sight. Confusion mingled with excitement, and she felt a stirring deep within her, as though the pendant had awakened something long dormant. Finn whimpered beside her, sensing his companion's unease. "Who's there?" she called, her voice steady despite the fluttering in her chest. "What do you mean by my destiny?" The trees around her seemed to sway in response, and the air crackled with an energy that made the hair on the back of her neck stand on end. She knew in that instant that her life was about to change forever, and the adventures she had always dreamed of were just beginning to unfurl before her, like the petals of a flower in spring. As the last rays of sunlight danced through the leaves, casting playful shadows on the forest floor, Elara felt a thrill rush through her veins. The voice that had spoken to her lingered in her mind, its ethereal quality making her heart race with anticipation. Holding the moonstone pendant delicately between her fingers, she marveled at how its surface shimmered with the hues of twilight, a promise of secrets yet to be revealed. "Finn, can you feel it?" she asked, glancing down at her loyal companion, who wagged his tail and sniffed the ground eagerly, as if he too sensed the magic in the air. Elara tucked the pendant safely around her neck, feeling an invigorating warmth spread across her skin, as if the moon itself were embracing her. With a newfound determination, she turned back toward the path leading from the clearing, only to halt abruptly. A rustling sound emerged from the underbrush and a figure stepped into view. A tall, cloaked man whose face was obscured by shadows. Elara instinctively tightened her grip on the pendant. "Do not be alarmed," he said, his voice smooth yet commanding. "I am Lucian, a guardian of this forest. You have awakened forces beyond your understanding." "Who are you?" Elara demanded, her heart pounding. "And what do you mean, forces beyond my understanding?" Lucian stepped closer, the moonlight catching a glint of silver in his eyes. "The moonstone pendant is not merely a trinket, it is a key to the hidden realms that lie beyond our world. It chooses its bearer wisely, and it has chosen you." Elara exchanged a glance with Finn, who seemed equally intrigued yet wary. "What hidden realms? And why me?" "The pendant has been lost for centuries, waiting for the one who possesses the spirit of adventure. You have the potential to traverse between our world and the magical realms where mythical creatures dwell and ancient wisdom resides. But be warned, dear Elara, the journey is fraught with danger. Dark forces seek the pendant for their own nefarious purposes." As Lucian spoke, the air around them shifted, charged with an energy that made the hairs on Elara's arms stand on end. "You must embark on this quest to understand your destiny and protect the pendant from those who would misuse its power." Elara's heart raced with a mix of fear and exhilaration. "How do I begin?" Lucian gestured toward the darkening woods. "Follow the path of the silver moonlight, where the trees whisper secrets. Your first destination lies at the base of Eldridge Mountain. There, you will meet an ally who will aid you in your quest." Without another moment's hesitation, Elara nodded, her spirit bolstered by the promise of adventure ahead. "I will do it. I'll protect the pendant and uncover its secrets." Lucian offered a rare smile. "Then let the winds guide you, brave one. But remember, the journey will test your heart, your courage, and your loyalty." With that, he faded back into the shadows, leaving Elara standing in the clearing, her heart a whirlwind of excitement and trepidation. Finn barked softly as if encouraging her to move forward. Elara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her choice settle upon her. She turned toward the path, illuminated by the glow of the pendant against her chest, and with Finn trotting confidently beside her, she stepped into the unknown, ready to embrace whatever magic awaited her in the depths of the forest. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the trees grew taller and closer together, their trunks wrapped in ancient vines that seemed to pulse with life. The moon slowly climbed into the sky, casting a silvery glow that danced upon the leaves, guiding Elara and Finn as they made their way toward Eldridge Mountain. Suddenly a low growl echoed from the thicket nearby, causing Elara to stop in her tracks. Finn's ears perked up and he stood protectively in front of her. The growl grew louder, followed by the snapping of branches. Elara held her breath, her heart pounding in her chest as a pair of glowing eyes emerged from the shadows. "Stay close, Finn," she whispered, clutching the pendant tightly. But she was no longer afraid. The adventure had truly begun. As Elara and Finn ventured deeper into the forest, the path of silver moonlight glimmered ahead, illuminating their way like a silken thread leading them into the heart of the unknown. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and wildflowers, and the gentle rustle of leaves whispered secrets of ancient times. Yet beneath this serene facade, a shiver of unease threaded through Elara's heart. Finn trotted ahead, his ears perked and nose twitching as if sensing the unseen. Elara reached for the moonstone pendant, its cool surface reassuring against her palm. She recalled Lucian's solemn words, "Beware the shadows, Elara. They are not merely darkness, but sentinels of those who wish to claim what is not theirs." Just as doubt began to cloud her thoughts, a sudden rustling in the underbrush caught her attention. Finn growled softly, his body tense, and Elara instinctively stepped behind him. From the thicket emerged a creature the likes of which she had never seen. A tiny, iridescent dragon, its scales shimmering in hues of blue and green. It blinked at her with large, curious eyes, its wings fluttering like delicate petals in the breeze. "Hello," Elara exclaimed, her fear dissipating like the morning mist. "Are you lost?" The dragon tilted its head, then spoke in a voice as light as a whisper. "Not lost, seeker. I am Zephyr, a wind sprite of the Elderwood. I sensed the awakening of the moonstone pendant and came to offer my aid." Elara's heart soared at the prospect of an ally. "I'm on a quest to protect it, but I fear dark forces are close behind." Zephyr flitted towards Elara, circling her head. "I have seen them. Shadows of the Nightbane, led by a sorceress named Morrigan. They seek the pendant to unleash chaos upon our realms." Elara's resolve hardened. "Then we must hurry. Can you guide us to my ally at the base of Eldridge Mountain?" "Indeed," Zephyr replied, a trail of glittering dust following in its wake. "But the path is fraught with trials. Beyond this grove lies the Vale of Echoes, where your fears take form. You must be brave to pass." With a determined nod, Elara stepped forward, Finn at her side, as Zephyr led the way. They entered the Vale of Echoes, where the landscape shifted dramatically. The trees grew twisted and gnarled, and the air grew heavy with an eerie silence. Shadows loomed and danced, flickering just out of sight. As they proceeded, whispers began to fill the air, echoes of Elara's own doubts and insecurities. "You're not strong enough," one voice taunted. "What if you fail? What if you lose everything?" Elara clenched the pendant tighter, feeling its warmth pulse against her skin. "No," she whispered, forcing herself to confront the shadows. "I am strong. I've faced my fears before, and I won't back down now." Suddenly the whispers coalesced into a dark figure, taking the shape of a menacing specter, a twisted version of Elara herself, eyes hollow and filled with malice. "You think you can protect it?" "You're just a girl from a sleepy village," Finn barked, lunging protectively, but Elara held him back. "You are not me," she shouted, her voice ringing with newfound confidence. "You are a reflection of my fears, and I refuse to let you control me." With that declaration, she drew the pendant from beneath her cloak. The moonstone glowed fiercely, illuminating the veil and banishing the specter back into the shadows. The whispers faded, leaving only silence and the soft rustle of leaves. "You have proven your courage," Zephyr chimed, reappearing beside her. "The path is clear. You are ready to face what lies ahead. But be vigilant. Morrigan will not be so easily deterred." Elara straightened, her heart racing with a mix of exhilaration and trepidation. "Thank you, Zephyr. Let's continue to the mountain. I have to find my ally before the Night Bane catch up." With Finn by her side and Zephyr guiding their way, Elara pressed onward, her spirit ignited by the promise of adventure and the certainty that she was not alone in her quest. Above, the silver moon hung low, casting a protective light upon their journey as they approached the base of Eldridge Mountain, unaware of the trials that awaited them in the shadows. As the first light of dawn filtered through the dense canopy overhead, Elara stood at the edge of the Vale of Echoes, her heart still racing from her recent encounter. The spectre had pushed her to the brink of despair, but with Finn by her side and the warm glow of the moonstone pendant nestled against her chest, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. "Are you ready, Elara?" Lucian asked, his voice a soft whisper against the rustling leaves. The Guardian's presence was both reassuring and imposing, his cloak blending seamlessly with the shadows of the forest. "I am," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. "I must find the ally who can help us confront Morrigan. The pendant is powerful, but I know I can't face her alone." With that, they set forth along the winding path towards Eldridge Mountain, the air thick with the scent of blooming nightshade and the distant call of enchanted creatures. Zephyr flitted around them, a swirl of light and laughter, adding an air of whimsy to their otherwise serious mission. "Look there," the wind sprite chirped, pointing towards a cluster of iridescent flowers that shimmered like stars caught in the underbrush. "The glimmer bloom. If you gather some, it might help you when you meet your ally." Elara knelt, carefully plucking a few of the delicate blooms, their petals cool to the touch. "What do they do?" she asked, curious. "They're known to amplify the strength of one's spirit," Zephyr explained, his voice tinkling like bells. "They will bolster your resolve when faced with doubt." As Elara stood, a sudden gust swept through the forest, causing a flurry of leaves to dance around her. In that moment, the air shifted, charged with an energy that made her skin tingle. "Do you feel that?" she whispered, glancing at Lucian. "Yes," he replied, his eyes narrowing. "Something approaches." Just then, from the depths of the trees, a figure emerged, tall and regal, with flowing hair that caught the light of the rising sun. She stepped into view. A silver circlet adorned her brow, and her gown shimmered with shades of blue and green, reminiscent of the forest itself. "Greetings, Elara," the woman said, her voice melodic yet firm. "I am Amara, keeper of the Eldridge Mountain. I have sensed your journey from afar." Elara's breath caught in her throat. "You know me?" "I know of the moonstone pendant," Amara replied, glancing at the radiant gem that hung around Elara's neck. "And I know of the darkness that threatens our realm. Morrigan grows stronger, and her Nightbane are stirring. You have come seeking aid. Will you help us?" Elara asked, hope blossoming in her chest. Amara stepped closer, her gaze piercing yet kind. "I will, but first you must prove that you are worthy of the power you wield. The forest will test you, as it has tested many before. Only then can I lend you my strength." The challenge ignited a spark of determination within Elara. "What must I do?" Amara gestured towards a shimmering pool of water, its surface reflecting the surrounding trees like a glass mirror. "You must enter the pool of reflections. There your true self will be revealed. Face what lies within and emerge unbroken." Finn let out a low growl, sensing Elara's apprehension. "You can do this," he encouraged, nudging her with his snout. Elara took a deep breath, then nodded. "I'll go." As she approached the pool, the air around her thickened, and the water began to ripple. With each step, a chorus of whispers filled her ears. The fears and doubts she had long buried began to surface. She knelt beside the pool, peering into its depths. What she saw was not just her reflection, but a tapestry of her past, woven with threads of joy and sorrow. Each moment played out in vivid detail. Her childhood laughter, her mother's warm embrace, the pain of loss, and the fears that had haunted her since discovering the pendant. But amidst the shadows, she also saw her strength, the courageous choices she had made, the friendships she had forged, and the light of hope that had guided her through the darkness. With each revelation, a wave of warmth flooded through her. She realized that she was not just the bearer of the pendant, she was a force of light capable of confronting the darkness that sought to consume her world. As she stood, the whispers faded, replaced by a quiet strength that enveloped her. Elara turned to Amara, a newfound resolve in her eyes. "I am ready," she declared, her voice steady. Amara smiled, approval gleaming in her gaze. "Very well. Your heart is true, Elara. Together we will gather our forces and stand against Morrigan. The battle for the forest has only just begun." And with that, the bond between them solidified, the promise of impending adventure crackling in the air like the first spark of a flame. The journey ahead was fraught with danger, but Elara felt an unwavering courage surge within her, ready to face whatever awaited them on Eldridge Mountain. As dawn broke over Eldridge Mountain, a soft glow illuminated the mist-cloaked trees of Elderwood, casting dancing shadows in the Vale of Echoes. Elara stood at the edge of the pool of reflections, the moonstone pendant hanging around her neck, shimmering with a light that seemed to resonate with the very heartbeat of the forest. Beside her, Finn wagged his tail, sensing the anticipation that crackled in the air, while Zephyr flitted above, a whispering breeze that played with Elara's hair. "Today is the day we confront Morrigan," Amara said, her voice steady as she emerged from the woods, her presence as calming as the gentle rustle of leaves. "But the path ahead is fraught with peril. The Nightbane have grown restless since you faced your fears. They will not let you pass easily." Elara nodded, determination etched on her face. "I'm ready. The pendant has given me strength, and I won't let Morrigan use it for darkness." "Then let us prepare," Amara instructed. "We must gather the moonlight vines from the glimmer-bloom flowers. They are the key to traversing the Nightbane's territory without being detected." As they made their way through the vibrant glades of Elderwood, Elara's heart raced with purpose. Zephyr whirled around her, leaving trails of sparkling dust while Finn sniffed the ground, ever watchful for any signs of danger. After a time, they reached a clearing where the glimmer-bloom flowers swayed like delicate chandeliers, their luminescent petals glowing softly in the dappled sunlight. Amara knelt down, carefully collecting the moonlight vines that entwined among the flowers. "Remember, these vines must be woven into a protective charm," she instructed. "They will cloak our presence, but can only work if we remain united in our intention." Elara joined Amara, taking the vines in her hands. As she wove them together, she felt a surge of connection, not just with Amara, but with the land itself, with Finn at her side and Zephyr guiding her thoughts. The magic of the forest thrummed in her veins, and she whispered a silent promise to protect it. Just as they finished, a low growl echoed from the shadows, causing Finn to tense, his ears perked. "Stay close," Elara commanded, her heart pounding. The air grew still, heavy with an ominous presence. From the thicket emerged a hulking figure, cloaked in shadows, with eyes like molten gold. It was a Nightbane warrior, a sentinel of Morrigan. "Turn back, little girl," it snarled, its voice a gravelly whisper that sent shivers down Elara's spine. "Your quest ends here, and the pendant will belong to our mistress." Elara stepped forward, holding the woven vines tightly. "I will not be intimidated. I am here to protect what is good in this world." The Nightbane laughed, a chilling sound that sent tremors through the air. "Good? There is no good in the shadow, only power. You cannot wield what is beyond your understanding." In that moment, Elara felt the pendant at her neck pulse softly, as if encouraging her. With a deep breath, she summoned her courage, channeling the energy of the moonstone pendant. Light enveloped her, illuminating the clearing like a beacon. "Together!" she shouted to Amara and Finn. They stood beside her, united. The vines glowed with a brilliant luminescence, casting away the darkness that threatened to encroach. The Nightbane warrior recoiled, shielded its eyes from the radiant light. "You think this small display can defeat me?" "You are gravely mistaken." Amara stepped forward, her voice steady and commanding. "You underestimate the power of unity, creature of the shadows. We stand for the light and we will not falter." With a flick of her wrist, the moonlight vines shot forward, wrapping around the Nightbane warrior, holding it fast. The creature struggled but was unable to break free from the binding light. "This is only the beginning," it roared, but Elara could sense a crack of fear in its voice. "Let's go," she urged, her heart pounding in exhilaration. They dashed past the immobilized Nightbane, racing towards the heart of the forest where Morrigan awaited, her dark ambitions threatening to eclipse all that Elara held dear. As they entered a narrow path lined with ancient trees, Elara felt a shift in the air, a tangible tension as they approached the sorceress's stronghold. The adventure had only just begun, and she was determined to face whatever awaited them, emboldened by the growing light within her. As dawn broke over the Elderwood forest, the golden light spilled through the trees like a warm embrace. Elara stood at the edge of the glade, her heart racing with anticipation. The night had been filled with dreams of courage and shadows of doubts, but she felt the moonstone pendant pulsing against her chest, guiding her. Lucian was beside her, his brow furrowed as he scanned the horizon. "We'll need to move quickly," he urged, his voice steady. "Morrigan's forces may sense our presence." The Nightbane warrior was only the beginning. Finn, ever watchful, sniffed the air, ears perked for any sign of danger. Zephyr danced around them, a playful swirl of energy that lifted Elara's spirits. She took a deep breath, feeling the magic of the forest flow through her. "We have the moonlight vines. With Amara's spell woven into them, we should be protected from the Nightbane's grasp. But we need to find the Heartstone first." "The Heartstone?" Lucian echoed, his voice filled with awe. "It's said to amplify the light within us." "But where can we find it?" Amara's words echoed in Elara's mind. "Seek the Heartstone where the sun meets the moon, in the blossom of the elder bloom." "Elder bloom," Elara murmured, recalling the vibrant flowers that bloomed only under the rare alignment of sunlight and moonlight. "We must head to the Eldergrove at the base of Eldridge Mountain. That's where the elder bloom grows. It's our best chance." With renewed determination, the trio set off, weaving through the ancient trees that whispered secrets of the past. The forest was alive with sounds, birds chirping, leaves rustling, and the distant trickle of a stream. Yet, in the back of Elara's mind, a shadow loomed. Morrigan's dark magic was palpable, a chill that brushed against her skin. As they reached the base of Eldridge Mountain, the air grew thick with tension. The trees parted to reveal a clearing bathed in ethereal light, where the elder blooms swayed gently. Their petals shimmered, a blend of white and pale blue, catching the sunlight. But as Elara stepped closer, the ground trembled beneath her feet and a low growl echoed from the shadows. A figure emerged, cloaked in darkness. The Nightbane warrior they had bound was back, now twisted and more formidable. Its eyes glowed with malice, and Elara realized they had failed to contain the creature completely. "Foolish mortals," it snarled, its voice a raspy whisper. "You will never reach the Heartstone. Morrigan will have her vengeance." Lucian stepped in front of Elara, his stance firm. "We faced you once. We won't back down now." Elara felt the power of the moonstone pendant surge within her. "We have what it takes to defeat you," she declared, raising her hand to channel the magic of the pendant. Glimmers of light spiraled around her, drawing energy from the forest itself. Finn let out a fierce growl, rushing forward to protect Elara and Lucian. As the Nightbane lunged, Elara's heart raced, but she stood her ground. "Together," she shouted, invoking the bond of unity she had forged with her companions. With a burst of light, they unleashed a wave of energy that clashed against the Nightbane. The creature screeched, momentarily stunned, but it quickly regained its footing, more enraged than before. And then, from the depths of the forest, a voice rang out, clear and commanding. It was Amara, emerging from the shadows with a flurry of energy swirling around her. "Elara, Lucian now. Focus your light together." With Amara's guidance, Elara and Lucian joined their energies, pooling the warmth of their spirits into one radiant beam. Finn stood by their side, the embodiment of loyalty and courage, as Zephyr twirled in a joyous dance, amplifying their magic. The Nightbane warrior charged, but it was too late. The united force of light enveloped the creature, piercing through the darkness that clung to it. With a final tormented wail, the Nightbane was consumed by the brilliance, dissipating into a cloud of shadow that scattered like ash in the wind. Breathless, Elara looked at her companions, a feeling of triumph swelling within her. "We did it. But we need to hurry to the Heartstone before Morrigan realizes we're here." Amara nodded solemnly. "The real battle lies ahead. Let us find the Heartstone and prepare for the confrontation that will determine the fate of our realm." Together, they ventured deeper into the Eldergrove, the air thick with magic and possibility. The Heartstone awaited them, and with it, the power to face Morrigan and the darkness that threatened to consume their world. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over the Elderwood forest, Elara and her companions gathered their strength at the edge of the Eldergrove. The shimmering leaves above rustled with whispers of ancient wisdom, and the air thrummed with anticipation. Elara adjusted the moonstone pendant around her neck, its glow illuminating the path ahead. "We must be vigilant," Amara warned, her eyes scanning the shadows that danced among the trees. "Morrigan will not take our approach lightly. The Heartstone is not just a source of power. It is a beacon for all who seek to protect the light." Finn, ever the faithful sentinel, let out a low growl, his ears perked as he sensed an unfamiliar presence. "What is it, Finn?" Elara asked, kneeling beside him. In response, he fixed his gaze on a cluster of trees that stood apart from the rest, their bark dark and twisted, as if they had been tainted by malevolent energy. Perhaps the Nightbane is not the only threat in these woods, Lucian spoke, his voice steady as he drew his sword. We should investigate. This could be a trap set by Morrigan. Zephyr flitted above them, his laughter like wind chimes in the breeze. Or a chance for a little mischief. Let's see what secrets are hidden among those trees. With a shared nod, the group moved cautiously toward the ominous grove, the air thick with a sense of foreboding. As they approached, the trees seemed to whisper in a language older than time, beckoning them closer. Suddenly, Elara stumbled upon an ancient stone altar half buried in the earth, covered in vines and glowing faintly with an iridescent light. "What is this?" she murmured, brushing her fingers against the carved symbols etched into the surface. "That altar is rumored to be a portal," Amara replied, her eyes widening in recognition. "It connects to different realms, including the Shadow Realm where Morrigan draws her strength. If we can activate it, we might gain insight into her plans. But we'll need the Heartstone to do that," Lucian reminded them, frowning. "And we have no way of knowing what lies on the other side." Before they could ponder further, the ground trembled beneath their feet. From the shadows emerged a figure cloaked in darkness, his eyes like burning coals. It was another Nightbane warrior, even more formidable than the last. "You dare trespass in these sacred woods?" he hissed, his voice echoing through the grove. "We'll not back down," Elara shouted, stepping protectively in front of her friends. "We stand united against you." With a surge of energy, the moonstone pendant flared to life, casting a radiant glow that pushed back the encroaching shadows. Amara began to chant an incantation, weaving protective charms in the air while Lucian raised his sword, ready to defend. Finn lunged forward, teeth bared, while Zephyr darted around the Nightbane, distracting him with bursts of playful light. Elara felt the power of her friends surging within her. They were more than just companions. They were a force of nature. The Nightbane warrior unleashed a wave of shadowy tendrils, but Elara, channeling the energy of the pendant, summoned a shield of light that enveloped her and her friends. "Together," she cried, rallying them. With a resounding battle cry, they struck as one. Lucian's sword sliced through the darkness while Amara's charms exploded in showers of radiant light, illuminating the grove. Finn's ferocity pushed the Nightbane back, and Zephyr's laughter infused them with courage, turning the tide of the battle. But just as victory seemed within reach, the Nightbane warrior unleashed a piercing scream that shook the grove, calling forth more shadows from the depths of the trees. "You think you can defeat me? I am merely the herald of Morrigan's true power." Elara's heart raced. "We need to activate the altar now," she shouted, realizing that their fight was only beginning. Rallying her friends, she focused on the altar, channeling the light of the pendant into the ancient stone. "Amara, now!" Elara urged as the altar began to pulse with energy. Amara stepped forward, her hands weaving intricate patterns in the air, merging their magic with the altar's power. With a brilliant flash, the portal opened, revealing a swirling vortex of colors and shadows. "We need to go in," Lucian shouted, pushing back the dark tendrils that reached for them. Elara glanced back at the Nightbane, who was regrouping for another attack. "We can't let him follow us." With a swift motion, she raised her pendant high. "By the light of the moonstone, we will not be bound by darkness," she declared, unleashing a wave of energy that engulfed the Nightbane, binding him in place as the portal's pull intensified. "Go, now!" Elara commanded, feeling the urgency of the moment. One by one, they leaped into the portal, the world around them dissolving into a cascade of light and shadows. As they tumbled through the vortex, Elara felt a rush of exhilaration and fear. They were stepping into the unknown, drawn towards the very heart of Morrigan's dark power. Whatever awaited them on the other side, they were prepared to face it together. The battle for Elderwood was far from over, and the greatest challenges lay ahead. As the portal to Morrigan's realm shimmered with an otherworldly glow, Elara felt a rush of anticipation mingled with fear. The air around them crackled with energy, the weight of their mission pressing heavily on her shoulders. She glanced at her companions, Lucien's brow furrowed in concentration, Finn shifting restlessly at her side, his eyes reflecting the portal's light, and Amara's expression serene, yet resolute. Zephyr flitted about, a streak of silver laughter that danced through the tension, reminding them that even in darkness, a spark of joy could still shine. "Are we ready?" Elara asked, her voice steady despite the flutter of uncertainty in her chest. "We have no choice," Lucian replied, gripping the hilt of his sword tightly. "We must confront Morrigan before she can unleash more Nightbane upon the forest." Finn let out a low growl, his fur bristling. He stood protectively before Elara, a fierce guardian ready to challenge anything that lurked beyond the portal. Amara stepped forward, her hands raised slightly as she murmured a soft incantation, grounding their energy and filling the air with a soothing luminescence. "Remember, each of our strengths is needed," Amara reminded them. "The bond we share is our greatest weapon against Morrigan's malice." With a shared nod, they joined hands, forming a circle around the glowing portal. Elara could feel the pulse of the moonstone pendant against her chest, its light resonating with the magic of the altar. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward and whispered the incantation Amara had taught them, her voice ringing out with determination. "We seek the truth. We seek justice. We demand to face our enemy." The portal surged, its light expanding like a blooming flower, and with a final echoing pulse it opened wide, revealing a dark expanse that seemed to stretch endlessly into a realm of swirling shadows. A sudden gust of wind rushed from the portal, carrying with it a chilling whisper that spoke of despair and treachery. Drawing from her courage, Elara took the first step into the unknown, followed closely by Lucian, Finn, Amara, and Zephyr, who darted ahead with an excited trill. As they crossed the threshold, the air thickened, the shadows enveloping them in an eerie embrace. They emerged into a twisted landscape where gnarled trees clawed at a sky choked with storm clouds. The ground was littered with remnants of battles long past, broken weapons, tattered banners, and bones that whispered tales of fallen heroes. "This place, it feels wrong," Finn growled, his instincts honed for danger. "Stay alert," Lucian advised, his gaze scanning the horizon. "Morrigan's power seeps into everything here." Suddenly a voice rang out, a cruel melodic laughter that echoed off the jagged cliffs in the distance. "Welcome, children of light. You've come to play in my playground. How delightful!" Elara's heart raced as she turned to face the source of the voice. Emerging from the shadows was a figure cloaked in darkness, swirling tendrils of shadow weaving around her like a living shroud. It was Morrigan, her eyes glinting with malice and a wicked smile twisting her lips. "You thought you could escape me," she taunted, her voice a seductive hiss. "I have been waiting for you." Elara felt the weight of the moment settle over them. "We are not afraid of you, Morrigan," she shouted, her voice firm despite the fear that loomed in her chest. "We will not let you harm the Elderwood any longer." Morrigan's laughter rang out again, rippling through the air. "Brave words, little one, but bravery alone cannot change your fate." With a flick of her wrist, shadows coalesced into forms of Nightbane warriors, their eyes glowing with a malevolent light. "Protect each other," Amara shouted, casting a protective barrier around the group just as the Dark Warriors charged. Elara felt the surge of magic around her, but instead of fear, a fierce determination ignited within her. She raised the moonstone pendant high, channeling its energy, and a beam of silver light burst forth, striking the nearest Nightbane warrior. It staggered back with a hiss, the light dissipating its shadows. Lucian charged forward, his sword gleaming fiercely as he defended Finn, who howled and leapt into the fray, clawing at the shadows with a ferocity that sent a shudder through the air. Zephyr danced through the chaos, distracting the Nightbane with playful illusions, while Amara worked to weave protective spells. Together they fought not just for their lives, but for the very heart of the Elderwood. As Elara maneuvered through the battle, she felt the connection between them strengthening, each of their abilities merging into a force of resilience against the encroaching darkness. But Morrigan watched with a predatory gleam in her eyes, as if savoring the struggle. "You think you can win? Let me show you true despair." With a wave of her hand, she summoned a thick fog that enveloped the battlefield, obscuring their view and sowing confusion among them. "Elara," Lucian's voice cut through the chaos. "Stay close. We must find a way to break her hold." As the fog thickened, Elara closed her eyes, focusing on the pulse of the moonstone pendant. It whispered secrets to her, guiding her toward a flicker of light amidst the darkness. "We're stronger together," she called, reaching out for her friend's hands. In that moment of unity, their powers merged and a bright light erupted from the pendant, pushing back the fog. Elara felt an overwhelming surge of energy, a sense of purpose driving her forward. They would not succumb to Morrigan's darkness. They would fight for the Elderwood and for each other. "Together," she shouted, ready to face whatever was to come next. The air crackled with tension as Elara and her friends stood shoulder to shoulder, the last tendrils of fog dissipating around them. They had pushed back Morrigan's shadows, but the dark sorceress remained, her eyes gleaming with malice as she surveyed her adversaries. The twisted trees of her realm creaked ominously, almost as if they were leaning in, eager to witness the next act of this sinister play. "Foolish children," Morrigan sneered, her voice a serpent's hiss, echoing through the desolate landscape. "You may have won this skirmish, but the war has just begun. The Nightbane are but a fraction of my power." With a flick of her wrist, she summoned a chilling wind that sent leaves swirling into a vortex, forming a swirling mass of dark energy overhead. From the cyclone emerged a new breed of Nightbane, twisted and grotesque, their forms shifting like shadows in a flickering flame, a true embodiment of Morrigan's torment. "Get ready!" Lucian shouted, drawing his sword and taking a defensive stance in front of Elara. His eyes narrowed, determination etched into his features. Amara stepped forward, her hands weaving intricate patterns in the air as she conjured a protective barrier around the group. Finn growled low, every muscle in his body coiled like a spring, ever watchful for a threat. Zephyr, ever the optimist, cracked a grin despite the chaos. "Well, at least we have a new set of opponents to practice our moves on," he quipped, drawing laughter from the group, though it was tinged with nerves. Elara focused, drawing strength from the moonstone pendant hanging around her neck. Its soft glow pulsed rhythmically, resonating with her heartbeat. We can't let fear take hold. We've faced darkness before. Together we can do this, she declared, her voice steady. As the first Nightbane charged forward, its jagged teeth bared, Lucian stepped in, intercepting the creature with a swift slash. The creature staggered but quickly regained composure, its form shimmering as it reformed from the ground like a shadow reabsorbing itself. "Amara, now!" Lucian shouted, his voice barely carrying over the howls of the Nightbane. Amara raised her hands, her fingertips sparking with a brilliant light as she unleashed a wave of energy that cascaded over the battlefield. The barrier shimmered and expanded, enveloping her friends and pushing back the horde of Nightbane. For a moment their forms flickered, revealing glimpses of the people they once were before Morrigan twisted them into nightmares. Elara felt a surge of hope. We can break Morrigan's hold over them. If we can reach the light within, we might save them. She turned to Amara, her eyes alight with inspiration. Can you amplify your charm? Amara nodded, her brows furrowing in concentration. I'll need time. Just keep them off me. With renewed fervor, Finn lunged at the nearest Nightbane, his claws striking out with primal force. A few feet away, Lucian engaged another, his sword flashing as he parried and struck, each movement precise and practiced. Zephyr, darting between foes, used his agility to distract them, drawing their attention away from Amara, who was fiercely chanting incantations. As the battle raged, the first Nightbane fell to Lucian's blade, dissolving into smoke that spiraled upward, revealing a ghostly figure, a woman once lost to darkness. Elara's heart pounded as the figure looked down at her, a flicker of recognition shining through the haze of despair. "Help us," the spirit whispered before vanishing into the ether. "See?" Zephyr called out, exhilarated. "We can save them. We just need to fight." But as if sensing their resolve, Morrigan's voice boomed, echoing through the darkened canopy. "You think you can free them? They are mine. I will unleash their true potential upon you." The air grew denser, and the Nightbane surged forward, their numbers multiplying as they drew strength from Morrigan's dark magic. The ground shook beneath them, and the wind howled with fury. "Amara, how much longer?" Elara cried, her voice strained as she deflected a Nightbane with the energy radiating from her pendant. "Just a little more. Focus your light, Elara," Amara replied, her voice strained but resolute. Elara closed her eyes, drawing from the essence of the moonstone pendant, feeling the light within her swell. It was a warmth that battled against the encroaching shadows, a fire igniting her spirit. "We can do this. Together!" With a final chant, Amara unleashed a blinding pulse of energy. The light surged forward, illuminating the grove and engulfing the Nightbane warriors, sending them into a momentary retreat as they writhed in agony. Elara watched as the light spread, touching the spirits imprisoned within the Nightbane, awakening a flicker of hope in their eyes. "Now, Elara!" Amara shouted. With every ounce of strength, Elara raised the moonstone pendant high, directing the light toward the Nightbane. The pendant glowed fiercely, illuminating the grove with ethereal brilliance as the light enveloped the creatures, revealing their human forms beneath the darkness. One by one, the spirits broke free, their voices rising in a chorus of gratitude and longing. "Thank you," they whispered, their forms melding into a radiant light, merging with Elara's magic. But the moment was fleeting. Morrigan's fury ignited, her figure towering over them, casting a long shadow over their victory. You think this is over? This is just the beginning. As she lifted her hands, a storm brewed anew, darker and more powerful than before. Elara braced herself, feeling the shift in the air, the weight of the battle still heavy upon them. They had turned a tide, but the final confrontation loomed, and the heart of Morrigan's power still awaited. "Stay strong," Lucian called, his sword ready. "This isn't the end. We've come too far to back down now," Elara nodded, determination flashing in her eyes. "We fight for the Elderwood, for everyone we've lost. Together." As they rallied once more, the storm thickened and the final showdown began, the very essence of light and dark clashing in a battle that would determine the fate of their world. As the last echoes of their battle against the Nightbane faded into the heavy fog of Elderwood, Elara stood firm, the moonstone pendant pulsating with a soft, silvery light against her chest. Her heart raced, not only from the adrenaline but from the weight of the task ahead. The spirits they had freed shimmered faintly around them, their faces a mix of gratitude and sorrow, urging Elara onward. "More will come," Lucian warned, his gaze scanning the treacherous terrain. "Morrigan will not take this defeat lightly." Finn growled low in his throat, his primal instincts on high alert. "Let her come. I crave a good fight," he declared, his claws flexing against the ground. Zephyr, flipping through the air with a carefree grace, added, "A good distraction is just what we need. You know, keep the mood light while we wait for the inevitable shadowy horde to return." His playful smirk faded as he sensed the tension among them. "But perhaps we should prepare first." "Prepare for what?" Amara asked, her brow furrowing as she gathered her energy. "We need to find her lair before she retaliates. If we can strike first, we may catch her off guard." Elara nodded, her resolve strengthening. "Agreed. If we can locate her source of power, we might stand a chance of breaking her hold over the Nightbane." She turned to the freed spirits, who hovered with an ethereal glow. "Can you guide us?" An older spirit stepped forward, his translucent form flickering like a candle in the wind. "The heart of the Elderwood," he whispered, his voice carrying the weight of centuries. "It is hidden in the hollow glade where the ancient trees entwine. Morrigan draws her strength from there, but beware, for the path is fraught with peril." With renewed determination, Elara summoned the pendant's energy, illuminating their surroundings. "Then to the hollow glade we go. Together, we can end this darkness." As they ventured deeper into the Elderwood, the thick fog began to swirl around them, whispering secrets that echoed with a sense of foreboding. Each step they took seemed to awaken the forest, the twisted trees creaking as if sharing their own tales of sorrow. Suddenly a sharp rustle broke the quiet and shadows darted between the trunks. "Stay alert," Lucian commanded, tightening his grip on his sword. The air crackled with tension as Finn crouched low, his eyes narrowing at the shifting shadows. Before they could brace themselves, a figure emerged from the fog, a Nightbane, larger and more grotesque than those they had faced before, its eyes glowing like embers. It let out a bone-chilling roar that sent a wave of despair rippling through the group. Amara stepped forward, her hands weaving intricate patterns in the air. "I'll hold it back." "Go!" But before she could complete her spell, the creature lunged, its claws swiping dangerously close to her. In the split second that followed, Zephyr sprang into action, conjuring an illusion of himself to distract the beast. Hey, ugly, over here, he taunted, darting to the side as the Nightbane turned confused. Now, Elara, Lucian shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. Channel your energy. With every ounce of focus she could muster, Elara lifted the moonstone pendant high, summoning a radiant beam of light. It cut through the fog and struck the Nightbane, illuminating the clearing in a brilliant glow. The beast shrieked, momentarily stunned. Finn! Now, Elara commanded. With a fierce roar, Finn charged, his primal strength propelling him forward. He collided with the Nightbane, delivering a powerful blow that sent it sprawling backward. But just as victory seemed at hand, the fog thickened once more, and a chilling laughter echoed around them. Morrigan's voice, taunting and sinister. You think you can defeat me? I am the darkness that binds this realm. Your light is but a flicker against my storm. As the fog enveloped them, Elara felt a shiver of doubt creep into her heart. But she looked to her friends, Lucian's unwavering stance, Finn's fierce growl, Zephyr's mischievous grin, and Amara's focused determination. And her resolve reignited. No, she declared, her voice steady against the encroaching dread. Together we are stronger. We will find the heart of the Elderwood and end this once and for all. With renewed purpose, the group pressed onward, the Nightbane regrouping behind them, and the fog swirling with Morrigan's dark magic. Yet, deep in the heart of the Elderwood, the path to the hollow glade awaited them, shrouded in mystery and danger, but also the promise of hope and salvation. As dawn broke over the Elderwood, the first rays of sunlight pierced through the thick canopy, illuminating the mist that clung to the ground like a shroud. Elara stood at the edge of a small clearing, the moonstone pendant glimmering against her chest, its light a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. The battle against the Nightbane had left her weary, but the gratitude of the freed spirits echoed in her heart, fueling her resolve. Are we ready? Lucian asked, tightening the grip on his sword. His blue eyes flickered with determination, a spark of defiance against the shadows that lurked beyond the trees. Ready as we'll ever be, Finn replied, cracking his knuckles in anticipation. The primal warrior's excitement was palpable, his wild hair tousled and eyes gleaming with ferocity. Let's find that sorceress and show her what we're made of. Zephyr, leaning against a tree with an air of nonchalance, grinned mischievously. I'll create a distraction, of course. Morrigan won't know what hit her. Just make sure to keep your swords out of each other's backs, all right? He winked, vanishing in a blur of movement, leaving only a whisper of wind in his wake. Amara stepped forward, her hands weaving intricate patterns in the air, summoning glimmers of light that danced around her like fireflies. We must be cautious. Morrigan's magic is powerful, and the hollow glade is filled with traps. If we're to face her, we must do so as one. Elara nodded, her heart swelling with gratitude for her companions. Together we will succeed. The heart of the Elderwood lies within her grasp, and we must be prepared for anything. Let's move. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the atmosphere shifted. The air grew heavy with an unnatural chill, and the trees seemed to whisper secrets in the wind. Shadows flitted just beyond their vision, and a sense of dread settled in the pit of Elara's stomach. After what felt like hours of navigating the twisting paths, they finally arrived at the entrance to the hollow glade. It was a gaping maw in the earth, overgrown with thorny vines that pulsed with dark energy. The ground vibrated beneath their feet, resonating with an ominous thrum. Stay alert, Lucian warned, drawing his sword. This is it. Just then, a chilling laugh echoed from within the glade, the sound reverberating off the walls of the forest like a sinister melody. "Foolish mortals, you think you can challenge me?" Morrigan's voice dripped with malice. "You are but pawns in a game far greater than you can comprehend." Elara felt the pendant grow warm against her chest, its light flickering. "We're not afraid of you, Morrigan," she called, raising the pendant high. "We've come to end your tyranny and free the spirits you've enslaved." From the shadows, tendrils of darkness snaked out, coiling around them like serpents. Finn lunged forward, his primal strength igniting as he slashed through the dark threads. "I'll clear a path." "Get ready." With a flick of her wrist, Amara sent a wave of light cascading through the glade, illuminating the darkness and revealing ghostly figures trapped within the shadows, spirits bound by Morrigan's magic. Their anguished faces filled Elara with a mix of sorrow and fury. "Hold on. We'll free you," she shouted, channeling the pendant's energy. A radiant beam of light shot forth, cutting through the darkness like a sword. Morrigan's laughter turned to rage as shadows circled her, forming a vortex of darkness. "You think you can defeat me with mere light? I am the darkness that consumes all." As Elara's light clashed against the shadows, a surge of energy erupted from the pendant. The freed spirits, drawn by its brilliance, began to rise, their forms swirling around Elara, lending their strength to her cause. "Together," they cried, voices melding in a chorus of hope. With a fierce determination, Elara focused, channeling the collective energy of the spirits into a single, powerful strike aimed at Morrigan. "This ends now." But as the light surged forward, Morrigan unleashed a tempest of shadows, and the two forces collided in a cataclysmic explosion that shook the very ground beneath them. The glade erupted into chaos, and amidst the swirling darkness and light, Elara felt a new presence, one that could shift the tide of battle. "Ready yourselves," she shouted, as from the depths of the glade emerged a creature of pure light, an ancient guardian of the Elderwood. Its eyes shone with wisdom and power, and it roared in defiance of the darkness that sought to consume the forest. The battle had just begun, and with newfound allies and the spirits of the fallen at their side, Elara and her companions prepared to face Morrigan in a clash that would determine the fate of the Elderwood itself. The clouds above the Elderwood swirled like a tempest, casting ominous shadows over the group as they stood at the edge of the hollow glade. The air was thick with magic, and the scent of damp earth mingled with the lingering essence of darkness. Elara clutched the moonstone pendant tightly, its soft glow illuminating her determined features. "Remember, we must remain united," Lucian said, his voice steady, though tension rippled through his muscles. He tightened his grip around the hilt of his sword, ready for whatever lay ahead. Finn, ever eager for battle, flexed his fingers, a primal growl rumbling deep within his throat. "Let's end this," he said, his eyes glinting with ferocity. "I can taste her fear in the air." Zephyr, perched on a low-hanging branch, smirked mischievously. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves, my fierce friend. We should be mindful of the traps that may lie in wait." With a flick of his wrist, he conjured a shimmering illusion of a slithering snake across the ground, testing the atmosphere for hidden dangers. "Focus, Zephyr," Amara chided, her brow furrowed in concentration as she began to weave a spell of protection around the group. "We're not just facing Morrigan, we're confronting the very essence of darkness. We need to be prepared." As the magic enveloped them, a sudden chill swept through the glade, and a haunting laugh echoed among the trees. "Oh, how delightful! I see you've come to play." Morrigan's voice slithered through the mist, her form materializing from the shadows. The dark sorceress looked as radiant as ever, draped in a gown spun from shadows, her eyes gleaming like shards of obsidian. "Your games have ended here, Morrigan," Elara shouted, stepping forward, the pendant pulsing with light as if in response to her challenge. "Ah, but I have just begun," Morrigan replied, waving her hand dismissively. "Let us see if your light can pierce the darkness." With a swift motion, she summoned a wave of shadows that twisted around her, forming into grotesque shapes, spirits of the fallen, lost souls bound to her will. They lunged at the group, their mournful wails echoing through the air. "Stand firm," Lucian commanded, raising his sword to deflect the nearest shadow. "Amara, use your magic to break their bonds." Amara focused her energy, calling upon the natural forces of the Elderwood. "Spirits of the wood, heed my call. Break free from the chains of night," she gestured, releasing a burst of shimmering light that illuminated the glade, momentarily dispelling the shadows. Finn charged into the fray, his primal instinct flaring to life as he engaged the swirling mass of darkness. "Fight for freedom," he roared, swinging his axe with a ferocity that sent shadows scattering. Zephyr darted between the combatants, creating illusions of himself to confuse the enemies. "Catch me if you can," he taunted, his laughter ringing bright amidst the chaos. But Morrigan was unfazed, her eyes narrowing. "You think you can defeat me so easily?" "My power is drawn from the very heart of this forest." She raised her arms, summoning a tempest of dark energy that swirled around her like a cyclone. Suddenly the ground trembled, and from the depths of the glade emerged roots and vines, animated by Morrigan's magic. They lashed out at the group, seeking to ensnare them. "Watch out," Elara shouted, her heart racing. She raised the moonstone pendant, channeling its light. Together, in a moment of unity, the group formed a circle, their hands intertwined. Elara poured her hope and determination into the pendant, sending forth a brilliant beam of light that cut through the darkness. The roots recoiled, and the shadows shrieked as the light enveloped them. "Now," Lucian shouted, seizing the moment, "strike with all your strength." With a collective battle cry, they surged forward, the light guiding their path as they pressed deeper into the heart of the glade, determined to confront Morrigan and reclaim the Elderwood from her grasp. But as they drew closer to her, the ground beneath them began to crack, revealing a chasm that seemed to lead to the very depths of despair. "Do you truly think you can defeat me?" Morrigan's voice echoed, her laughter mixing with the whispers of the shadows. "This is just the beginning." As the chasm widened, dark tendrils reached out, threatening to pull them into oblivion. Time seemed to slow as Elara's heart raced. They had to act fast, or they would be swallowed by the very darkness they fought against. "Amara!" Elara called, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We need your light." With a resolute nod, Amara summoned her magic once more, the air around her shimmering. "Together!" she cried, channeling her energy into a powerful spell that could illuminate the depths of the chasm and reveal its secrets. The group steadied themselves, ready to leap into the unknown, united by a bond forged in battle, hope, and an unwavering belief in the light. As they plunged forward, they knew the true confrontation with Morrigan had only just begun. With a collective breath, Elara and her companions leaped into the swirling abyss of darkness, the chasm sucking them in with an insatiable hunger. As they descended, time felt distorted, shadows whispering secrets of despair that clawed at their resolve. But within that suffocating darkness, Elara clutched the moonstone pendant tightly, its cool light pulsing against her palm, reminding her of the spirits she fought for. The fall seemed eternal until they landed softly on a ground that shimmered with an ethereal glow. The hollow glade had transformed here, revealing an underground sanctuary illuminated by ghostly lights and echoes of laughter that resonated with memories of the free spirits. It was a stark contrast to the oppressive darkness above, but Elara sensed Morrigan's influence lurking in the corners, ready to strike. "Stay alert," Lucian cautioned, his sword drawn and glimmering in the soft light. "This place may be a trap designed to lure us into false safety." His eyes scanned the surroundings, every muscle tensed for an incoming attack. Amara stepped forward, her hand lifted as she summoned a protective shield of golden light around them. "We're not alone," she whispered, feeling the presence of the spirits swirling gently around them, their faces a mixture of fear and hope. "They're here, waiting for us to act." Suddenly Zephyr, ever the trickster, let out a soft chuckle. "I think I can make our presence known," he declared, his fingers dancing through the air. With a flick of his wrist he conjured illusions of the heroes, their forms multiplying and shimmering like stars scattered across the darkened expanse. "Perfect bait," Finn grinned, his primal instincts kicking in. "Let's see if Morrigan takes the bait." As if summoned by his challenge, a chilling wind swept through the sanctuary, and Morrigan's voice echoed, serpentine and menacing. "Fools. You think you can escape my grasp by hiding in this pitiful sanctuary? I will pluck you like the weeds you are." Elara felt a surge of defiance at Morrigan's taunts. "We are the light that will break your darkness," she shouted, stepping forward, her pendant glowing brighter, illuminating the cavern with pure luminescence. At that moment the ground beneath them trembled, and fissures began to open, threatening to swallow them into the depths of despair. Spirits trapped in chains of shadow emerged from the cracks, their forms flickering like flames caught in a tempest. Elara's heart sank at their plight. They were caught between Morrigan's will and the hope of freedom she promised. "Amara, can you break their chains?" Elara cried out, urgency threading her voice. "I will try," Amara replied, her focus sharpening as she began to chant incantations, weaving threads of light towards the nearest spirit. The chains rattled as her magic reached them, but Morrigan's laughter filled the chamber, dark and mocking. "Your efforts are futile. They belong to me." The sorceress appeared before them, her silhouette a swirling mass of shadows and malevolence. With a wave of her hand, she unleashed a torrent of dark magic, swirling tendrils that grasped at Elara and her friends. Lucian stepped forward, his sword raised high. "We stand united," he shouted, channeling his strength into a protective barrier that clashed against Morrigan's dark waves. Elara felt the connection, their energies binding together, forming a shield of resilience. "Now, Elara!" Zephyr cheered, his illusions swirling around Morrigan, creating confusion. "Bring the light. Show her what we're made of." With a deep breath, Elara raised the moonstone pendant high above her head. "Spirits of the light, hear my call. It's time to break free." She focused every fiber of her being into the pendant, its glow intensifying until it became a blinding beam of light, piercing the shadows that enveloped them. The energy surged outward, wrapping around the spirits, dissolving their chains and igniting hope within their eyes. They swirled around Elara, merging their essence with her own, and together they became a radiant force, a beacon of light against the encroaching darkness. Morrigan shrieked as the light collided with her shadows, illuminating the cavern in a wash of dazzling brilliance. "No, this cannot be," she bellowed, her form flickering as the power surged against her. But Elara could sense that this was just the beginning. The battle was far from over, and Morrigan would not yield easily. With the spirits of the fallen at her side and her companions standing strong, Elara prepared for the final confrontation, her heart alight with the promise of freedom. "Together," she shouted, rallying her friends for what was to come. "We will not let darkness prevail." And as they charged forward, the cavern shook with the clash of light and shadow, the ultimate battle beginning to unfold, the fate of the spirits resting upon their shoulders. As the blinding light surged from the moonstone pendant, it clashed fiercely against Morrigan's darkness. The ethereal glow illuminated the underground sanctuary, revealing ancient stone carvings depicting the eternal struggle between light and shadow. Shadows writhed and twisted, straining against the brilliance, yet Morrigan's ferocity only grew. She laughed, a sound like crackling thunder, echoing through the cavern as if the very walls were mocking their resolve. "Fools!" she spat, her eyes glimmering with malevolence. "You think your little trinket can save you? The darkness thrives on your fear and despair. Embrace it." Elara felt the pulse of the moonstone resonate with her heartbeat, filling her with warmth. "We will not succumb to your lies, Morrigan," she shouted, her voice steady. "The light exists within us all, and we will unleash it together." At her command, Lucian raised his sword, its blade shimmering in the radiant light. "Amara, channel the energy. Let it flow through us." With a determined nod, Amara closed her eyes and extended her arms, summoning the natural forces around her. Vines and roots stirred to life, intertwining with the light, creating a protective barrier that pulsed with vibrant colors. Finn, gripping his axe tightly, roared a battle cry, charging forward. "I'll take the fight to her." "Keep that light burning." He leapt into the fray, his primal instincts guiding him as he swung his axe, cleaving through shadows with reckless abandon. Zephyr darted around the battlefield, weaving illusions to confound Morrigan's minions. In a flash, he conjured a mirage of Elara, causing the dark spirits to falter, unsure of their target. "Over here, you wretched creatures." "Can't catch what you can't see," he taunted, his laughter echoing in the cavern. Morrigan, furious, lashed out with dark tendrils that whipped toward Finn. "You think mere mortals can stand against me?" she hissed, her voice dripping with contempt. But as the tendrils reached him, they were met by the shimmering barrier Amara had conjured, disintegrating upon contact. "Together." "Now," Elara called, feeling the surge of energy from her companions. The moonstone pendant glowed brighter as they united their powers. With a fierce concentration, she raised the pendant high, channeling their combined strength. A beam of light shot forth, striking Morrigan head-on. The sorceress screamed, her form quaking as the light began to unravel the darkness that clung to her like a shroud. "No, this cannot be," she shrieked, trying to gather her power, but the sanctuary itself seemed to respond to the light, resonating with the spirits freed from their chains. As the shadows receded, a gust of wind swirled through the glade, carrying whispers of gratitude from the liberated spirits. It filled the sanctuary with a melody of hope, a sweet harmony that bolstered the group's resolve. Just when it seemed they might prevail, the cavern trembled violently. Deep fissures opened in the ground, and a dark tendril shot up, wrapping around Elara's ankle and pulling her down. "Elara!" Lucian shouted, rushing to her side. With a swift movement, Finn chopped at the tendril, but it tightened its grip. "We have to get her out," he growled, desperation creeping into his voice. Amara, sensing the urgency, closed her eyes and reached deep within herself, drawing forth the raw power of nature. "I can do this. Hold on," she cried, her voice steady. She raised her hands and roots erupted from the ground, wrapping around Elara and pulling her back to safety. Elara gasped, heart racing as she regained her footing. "Thank you, Amara. But we mustn't lose focus." She turned to face Morrigan, who was now furiously gathering her dark magic once more. With renewed determination, Elara raised the pendant high. "We stand united, Morrigan." "You are outnumbered and outmatched," she declared. The air thickened with tension as Morrigan prepared to unleash her most devastating spell, shadows coiling around her like a storm ready to break. But beneath the confidence of the group lay an unshakable bond. They were not just a team, they were a family forged in the fires of battle. "Together!" Lucian shouted, raising his sword alongside Elara's pendant. In that moment, they all channeled their strength into one powerful beam of light, illuminating the sanctuary in a cascade of brilliance that surged toward Morrigan. The clash of light and darkness created a shockwave that reverberated through the elderwood, a testament to their unity. As Elara and her companions fought to hold their ground, they knew this was no longer just a battle for survival. It was a battle for their very souls, and the fate of the elderwood itself. The flickering shadows danced across the ancient stone walls of the sanctuary, as if echoing the tumultuous emotions swirling within Elara and her friends. The air crackled with the remnants of battle, and the scent of burnt magic lingered. As Elara regained her footing, the moonstone pendant pulsed with a soft luminescence, responding to her unwavering resolve. "Are we ready for this?" Lucian asked, his voice steady but laced with underlying tension. He adjusted his grip on his sword, its blade glinting in the dim light. "We must be," Elara replied, her heart steadying. "Morrigan's darkness is powerful, but our light is stronger together." She glanced at Amara, who was still gathering the energy of the surrounding vines and flowers, coaxing them to life. They twisted and danced, awaiting her command, their colors vibrant against the gloom. Finn sharpened his axe, the sound echoing with a metallic ring. "Let's make this count. We freed some spirits, but they're still trapped in this darkness. We can't let Morrigan take control again." "Exactly," Zephyr chimed in, a mischievous smile playing on his lips. "And I have a few tricks up my sleeve to keep her guessing." With a flick of his wrist, he conjured an image of himself, an illusion that shimmered and split into multiple versions of him, each one dancing across the sanctuary, creating a chaotic ballet of confusion. As the illusions darted away, Elara felt a surge of hope. "When we confront Morrigan, we need to stay united. We can't let her divide us with fear." With a shared nod, the group took their positions, forming a circle of strength around Elara. The moonstone pendant pulsed brighter, illuminating their faces with a warm glow. Amara whispered words of encouragement to the spirits lingering in the shadows, and they began to shimmer, responding to her call. Suddenly, a thunderous roar echoed through the sanctuary, shaking the very foundations of their hiding place. Morrigan had returned, her figure shrouded in dark mist. Her eyes glowed like embers, and her voice was a chilling whisper that sent shivers down their spines. "You think you can stop me?" "I am the darkness. I am inevitable." "Not while we stand together," Elara shouted, channeling the pendant's light. It erupted in a radiant beam, illuminating the sanctuary and pushing back the encroaching shadows. The spirits, now emboldened by Amara's magic, surged forward, breaking free from their chains and swirling around the sorceress in a vengeful tide. Morrigan shrieked, her voice filled with fury as she unleashed dark tendrils toward the group. Lucian and Finn stood resolutely at the forefront, blocking the attack with their weapons, while Amara summoned a wall of thorns that sprang up from the earth, entangling the shadowy tendrils and buying them precious moments. But just as victory seemed within reach, a piercing laughter echoed from Morrigan, and she raised her hands high, drawing upon a deeper source of dark magic. The sanctuary trembled as shadows twisted into grotesque forms, emerging as dark phantoms to engage Elara and her friends, their hollow eyes filled with despair. "Don't lose hope," Elara cried, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Remember why we fight." With their spirits intertwined, the group focused their energies. Lucian called forth a barrier of light, shielding them from the phantoms, while Amara encouraged the spirits to channel their grief into strength, turning the tide ever so slightly. Finn charged into the fray, his axe a whirlwind of bright fury, while Zephyr's illusions danced around them, confusing the dark entities and creating openings for Lucian and Finn. Elara felt the power of the pendant surge within her, a beacon of hope igniting her spirit. "We can't let Morrigan win. We must free the last of the spirits." As the last of the shadows closed in, Elara raised her pendant high, its light enveloping the sanctuary in a warm glow. Together, she urged, and in unison they combined their magic. Amara's nature, Lucian's light, Finn's fury, and Zephyr's illusions merging into a magnificent display of unity. The combined force soared forth, crashing against Morrigan like a tidal wave, breaking through her defenses. The darkness around her began to fracture, exposing the vulnerable heart of her power. "No!" Morrigan screamed, her voice twisting in desperation. "This can't be." With a final surge of energy, Elara focused on the radiant light of the pendant, pushing it into the heart of the darkness. "You will not control them any longer." As the light erupted, the shadows recoiled, and the sanctuary shimmered with the brilliance of 1,000 stars. The phantoms gasped, transforming back into the spirits they once were, freed from Morrigan's grasp. Elara felt the warmth of their gratitude wash over her, and in that moment she knew they had come closer to victory. But as Morrigan staggered back, her form flickering like a dying flame, Elara sensed something more sinister brewing within the darkness. With a determined gleam in her eye, Elara prepared for the final confrontation, knowing that the battle was far from over. "We have to finish this," she declared, rallying her friends around her. And as the last remnants of shadows clawed at the edges of their victory, they braced themselves for the ultimate showdown against the darkness that sought to consume them all. As dawn broke over the Elderwood, casting golden rays through the thick canopy, Elara and her companions gathered in a clearing, still buzzing with the aftershocks of their recent victory. The air hummed with a palpable tension. They had freed trapped spirits, yet Morrigan's dark essence lingered like a shadow on their hearts. Lucian, sword gleaming, stepped forward. "We can't stay complacent," Morrigan may have retreated, but she won't remain dormant for long. His voice was steady, yet a flicker of concern danced in his eyes. Elara nodded, gripping the moonstone pendant that hung around her neck. We need to strengthen our magic. If we're to stand against her again, we must harness the full potential of our abilities. Amara knelt, her fingers brushing the earth, drawing energy from the roots of ancient trees. I can call upon the spirits of the forest to aid us. They know the whispers of Morrigan. She fears them. Finn, ever impatient, slammed the butt of his axe into the ground. Then let's not waste time. We should find the Heartstone of Elderwood. It's said to amplify our magic tenfold. Zephyr, perched on a low branch, grinned mischievously, his eyes sparkling with intrigue. But do we even know where it lies? The Heartstone is elusive, hidden by illusions that even I might struggle to unveil. Then let's locate it together, Elara declared, her determination shining through. Our bond has grown stronger, and together we can pierce through any illusion. As the group set forth, the atmosphere shifted. The deeper they ventured into the woods, the more the familiar hum of magic twisted into a discordant symphony. The trees loomed larger, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal hands, and the air thickened with an unnatural chill. After what felt like hours of navigating the labyrinthine paths, they stumbled upon a clearing cloaked in mist. In its center stood an ancient stone altar, where the Heartstone pulsed with a deep sapphire light, flickering like a distant star. But as they approached, the mist coiled around them, shifting and swirling. Zephyr's illusions flared to life, and shadowy figures emerged from the fog, twisting into the forms of trapped spirits, their faces contorted in anguish. "Morrigan's minions!" Lucian shouted, raising his sword. "Prepare yourselves." "Wait," Elara called, stepping forward. "They're not our enemies. They're lost souls bound to Morrigan's will. We must free them." Finn gritted his teeth, his muscles tensing for a fight. "And risk being overwhelmed?" "We don't know how many there are." Elara took a deep breath, her heart racing. "We have to trust in our unity. Amara, can you calm their spirits?" "Lucian, Finn, be ready to defend us if anything goes wrong. Zephyr, use your illusions to confuse them if they attack." Amara raised her hands, whispering a gentle incantation. Tendrils of green magic spiraled from her palms, wrapping around the spirits, soothing their anguish. The shadows wavered, their faces morphing from fear to hope. "I can feel their pain," Amara murmured, her voice soft. "They're trapped in a cycle of despair. We must show them the way to freedom." With renewed determination, Elara joined Amara, channeling the radiant energy of the moonstone pendant. Light burst forth, illuminating the clearing and dissolving the mist. The spirits hesitated, then began to gather, drawn towards the warmth of the light. One by one, they turned, moving toward the heart of the glow, where Elara and Amara stood united. But just as the last spirit began to break free, a bone-chilling laughter echoed through the clearing. "Foolish mortals," Morrigan's voice hissed from the shadows. "You think you can outshine my darkness? You will pay dearly for your defiance." The ground trembled as tendrils of shadow erupted from the earth, reaching for Elara. This time they were no mere illusions. This was Morrigan's wrath unleashed. "Stand together," Lucian shouted as Finn charged ahead, ready to protect Elara and Amara. Zephyr, channeling his magic, created a series of illusions to confuse the tendrils, weaving in and out of the darkness. Elara's heart raced. She could feel the pull of Morrigan's darkness, but she also felt the strength of her friends beside her. The heartstone pulsed with energy, and a plan began to take shape in her mind. "Channel your magic through the heartstone," she cried, determination igniting within her. "Together we can push her back." As they joined hands, the heartstone's light flared brighter than ever, illuminating the clearing in a blinding radiance. Elara felt the connection with each of her friends deepen, their magic intertwining with hers, forming a barrier of light against Morrigan's encroaching shadows. With one final push, they released their combined power. The wave of light surged forward, engulfing the tendrils and pushing back the darkness. But in the midst of the chaos, Elara sensed a deeper threat, a flicker of something more sinister within Morrigan's laughter. As the shadows receded, she knew this battle was but a prelude to something far more perilous. "Stay vigilant," Elara whispered, determination burning in her heart. The fight is far from over. The air crackled with tension as Elara stood at the edge of the misty clearing, the heartstone pulsating gently in her hands. Its glow illuminated the weary faces of her friends, casting shadows that danced like restless spirits. They had won a battle, but the war was far from over. Morrigan's essence lingered in the air, an insidious whisper that hinted at the depths of her power. "Listen," Elara said, her voice steady despite the uncertainty swirling in her chest. "We freed the spirits, but Morrigan is gathering strength again. We need to move quickly before she can retaliate." Lucian tightened his grip on his sword, the blade gleaming with resolve. "Where do we go next?" "We can't keep running in circles. We need a plan." Amara stepped forward, her connection with the earth sparking a new idea. "The elderwood holds secrets in its roots. If we can find the elder tree, the oldest and mightiest among us, it may grant us wisdom and strength. It could help us understand Morrigan's true intentions." Finn nodded, his fierce demeanor softening with thought. "Aye, but the elder tree is said to be guarded by the wraith of the grove. We'll need to be ready for a fight." Zephyr, ever the trickster, flashed a grin. "Fighting is fun, but maybe we can trick the wraith instead. They say it's bound by riddles and illusions. I might just have a few tricks up my sleeve." Elara felt a flicker of hope. They were a team, and together they could face whatever lay ahead. "Let's head towards the elder tree then. Keep your wits about you, and let's stay focused." As they ventured deeper into the elderwood, the trees grew taller and denser, their twisted branches cloaking the path in shadows. The air thickened with magic, an electrifying sensation that sent shivers down Elara's spine. Every rustle of leaves and whisper of wind felt alive, as if the forest itself was watching them. Suddenly, a chill swept through the clearing, and a figure emerged from the shadows, a tall, ethereal being cloaked in a swirling mist. Its eyes glowed like embers, and its voice echoed with ancient wisdom, yet it carried the weight of sorrow. "Who dares to seek the elder tree?" Elara stepped forward, her heart pounding. "We are here to find the elder tree, to seek its guidance against Morrigan." "We mean no harm." The wraith studied them with an intensity that felt both piercing and protective. "Many have sought the tree and failed. You must prove your worth, for the elder tree only reveals its secrets to those who understand the balance of light and shadow." "What do we need to do?" Lucian asked, his tone unwavering. "The trial is simple yet profound," the wraith replied. "You must face your darkest fears and emerge united. Only then will the elder tree grant you the strength you seek." A heavy silence fell over the group, each member glancing at one another, apprehension creeping into their hearts. Elara felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down on her. Would they truly emerge united? "Together," Elara said, breaking the stillness. "We can face whatever darkness lies ahead." "We have each other." The wraith gestured, and the ground beneath them trembled as shadows began to swirl, forming a labyrinth of darkness that beckoned them forward. "Step into this realm and confront your fears. Only then will the path to the Elder Tree be revealed." With determined hearts, they entered the shadowy labyrinth, feeling the darkness envelop them. Each step felt heavier, the air thick with the echoes of their doubts and insecurities. Elara felt the chilling breath of despair wrap around her, whispering that she was not strong enough, that she would fail her friends. But just as darkness threatened to consume her, she remembered the warmth of the Heartstone, its light a beacon of hope. She took a deep breath and called out to her friends, "We're in this together. We can't let fear tear us apart." As their voices intertwined, a bright light flickered in the distance, guiding them through the maze of shadows. They ran toward it, the darkness retreating before their combined resolve. They could feel Morrigan's presence waning, but the deeper threat Elara sensed still loomed. Finally, they emerged from the labyrinth into a clearing bathed in luminous light. In the center stood the elder tree, its trunk massive and twisted, branches reaching toward the heavens. "Welcome, children of light," the voice of the elder tree resonated through the air, warm and wise. "You have faced the darkness within. What is it that you seek?" Elara stepped forward, her heart racing with hope. "We seek guidance and strength to defeat Morrigan and protect the Elderwood from her darkness." The elder tree rustled its leaves, and a radiant glow enveloped them. "To fight the darkness, you must embrace the light within each of you. But know this, Morrigan's spirit is more entwined with the Elderwood than you realize. The true battle lies ahead." As the tree spoke, shadows flickered once more at the edges of the clearing, and a chilling laugh echoed through the woods. Morrigan's presence was returning, but this time, Elara and her friends stood ready, emboldened by their unity and the light of the elder tree. With renewed determination, Elara grasped the Heartstone, feeling its warmth pulse in rhythm with her own heartbeat. "Together we will stand against her." And with that declaration, the air filled with a vibrant energy, the winds shifting as the final confrontation with Morrigan loomed ever closer. As dawn broke over the Elderwood, shafts of golden light pierced through the leafy canopy, illuminating the sacred elder tree. Its ancient bark shimmered with the remnants of magic, a gentle reminder of the power it held. Elara, Amara, Lucian, Finn, and Zephyr gathered around its massive trunk, their hearts heavy with the weight of their mission. Elara stepped forward, clutching the Heartstone tightly in her palm. "Elder Tree, we seek your wisdom. Morrigan's darkness is growing stronger, and we fear for the spirits in the forest. What must we do?" Silence enveloped them, the only sound being the rustle of leaves and the distant call of a bird. Then a voice echoed through the air, resonant and deep as if the very bark of the elder tree was speaking. "To defeat the darkness, you must first understand its roots. Morrigan's power is tied to 3 ancient relics hidden within the forest, each guarded by the trials of the spirits she has ensnared." Amara glanced at her friends, a flicker of hope igniting in her chest. "What are these relics? How do we find them?" "The first is the Tear of the Glade," the elder tree continued. "It lies within the misty hollow, where the spirits of lost travelers roam. You must bring solace to them before claiming the tear. Then we must go, Lucian declared, gripping his sword. We've faced many trials together. We can do this. Zephyr, ever the trickster, smirked. Let's just hope those spirits are in a better mood than they were last time. I prefer not to be haunted for eternity. As the group set off towards the misty hollow, they could feel the air grow heavier, a tangible sense of foreboding following them. Shadows danced at the edges of their vision, whispering secrets of despair. They moved cautiously, knowing that Morrigan's influence could be lurking nearby. Upon entering the misty hollow, the atmosphere shifted. A thick fog rolled in, shrouding the spirits that drifted aimlessly, their faces twisted in sorrow. Elara raised the heartstone, its light piercing through the gloom like a beacon. "Spirits of the hollow," she called, her voice steady despite the unease creeping into her heart. "We mean you no harm. We come to seek the tear of the glade and to help you find peace." A chilling laugh echoed through the hollow, and from the mist emerged a spirit, its form more defined than the others, with eyes like blackened stars. "Peace? After what has been done to us, you think mere words will free us?" "Please," Amara stepped forward, her hands raised in supplication. "We know your pain. Morrigan has trapped you here, feeding off your despair. Allow us to help you find rest." The spirit's gaze softened for a moment, but the shadows around it writhed, tightening their grip. "To earn the tear, you must confront the wraiths of regret, the memories that bind us to this place. Only by facing what we fear can we be released." Elara exchanged glances with her friends, determination sparking in their eyes. "We can do this together," she stated with conviction. "We've faced our fears before. We won't let Morrigan's darkness claim us." With a nod from Lucian and a fierce growl from Finn, the group steeled themselves. As the fog thickened, the wraiths of regret emerged, each a chilling reflection of their deepest fears. For Elara, it was the loss of her friends. For Amara, the failure to save the spirits. For Lucian, the haunting memory of his fallen comrades. For Finn, the shadow of abandonment. And for Zephyr, the fear of being forgotten. "Face us!" the wraiths cried in unison, their voices echoing like a mournful dirge. "Only then will the tear be yours." As the wraiths lunged, the friends braced themselves, drawing strength from one another. They had fought darkness before, and they would do so again. Elara raised the heartstone, its glow illuminating the hollow, pushing back the shadows of despair. "Together," she shouted, her voice unwavering, "we will rise above our fears. We will not be defined by our regrets." In that moment, the heartstone pulsed with a brilliant light, intertwining their spirits and illuminating the true bonds of their friendship. They stood united, ready to confront the wraiths and claim the tear of the glade, determined to break the chains that bound the spirits of the misty hollow to Morrigan's dark will. As dawn broke over the elderwood, a soft golden light filtered through the dense canopy, illuminating the dew-kissed leaves. Elara stood at the edge of Misty Hollow, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and trepidation. The air was thick with an otherworldly energy, echoing with the whispers of spirits longing for release. She turned to her friends, her gaze steady. "We're ready," she declared, though a tremor in her voice hinted at her uncertainty. Lucian stepped forward, his expression resolute. "We've faced the wraith and conquered our fears. We can do this together." He flashed a reassuring smile, igniting a spark of courage within Elara. Amara nodded, her compassionate nature shining through. The spirits are counting on us. We must listen to their stories, understand their regrets. Only then can we help them find peace. Finn, always by Elara's side, shifted nervously on his feet. "What if they don't want our help?" he whispered, his eyes flickering to the shadows that seemed to dance around them. Zephyr, ever the jester, jumped in with a grin. "Well, if they don't want help, we can always offer them a joke about the afterlife. What do you call a ghost who tells jokes?" "A boolarious spirit," his laughter echoed, easing the tension, and even Finn managed a hesitant grin. With their spirits lifted, the group entered the hollow, the air growing cooler and heavier as they ventured deeper. Shadows twisted among the ancient trees, morphing into shapes that threatened to snatch away their resolve. Elara clutched her pendant, a gift from the elder tree, feeling its warmth pulse against her heart. She drew strength from it, remembering the wisdom the tree had imparted. Suddenly a wail pierced the silence, echoing through the trees, sending shivers down their spines. "What was that?" Amara gasped, her eyes wide with concern. "Sounds like a spirit in distress," Lucian replied, his voice steady. "We need to follow it." They moved cautiously toward the source of the sound. As they rounded a gnarled oak, they stumbled upon a shimmering figure cloaked in sadness. It was a woman, her ghostly form flickering like a candle's flame. Tears streamed down her translucent cheeks, and her mournful gaze bore into Elara's soul. "Help me," the spirit cried, her voice like a soft breeze. "I cannot find rest. My sorrow binds me to this place. I lost my child in the woods, and I cannot remember where." Elara felt a pang of empathy surge within her. "We will help you remember," she promised, stepping forward. "Tell us about your child." The spirit's form quivered as she began to recount her tale, a heart-wrenching story of laughter, love, and an accident that led to a tragic separation. As she spoke, the air shimmered with the weight of her grief, and the shadows around them thickened, swirling into dark specters, the wraiths of regret. Finn's grip tightened on Elara's arm, his eyes wide. "We're not ready to face them. What if they consume us?" "Together," Lucian urged, positioning himself protectively in front of Amara. "We can't let fear dictate our actions. We must confront these wraiths, but we also must help the spirit find her peace." The dark figures advanced, whispering the woman's regrets, wrapping her in a cocoon of despair. With every word she faltered, her form flickering more violently. Zephyr, sensing the tension, interjected with his usual humor. "What do you call a wraith that can't scare anyone?" "A boo-hoo," the spirit paused, her eyes flickering with a brief moment of levity. Elara seized the opportunity, stepping closer. "Remember the joy you shared with your child. What was their favorite memory?" she asked gently. The spirit hesitated but began to recall a sunlit day in the Elderwood, where laughter had danced between them like the wind through the trees. The wraiths hesitated, their grip loosening as the warmth of the memory filled the air. Elara, Lucian, Amara, Finn, and Zephyr joined hands, forming a circle of support around the grieving mother. They summoned their combined strength, channeling their hope and love into a radiant light that pushed back against the encroaching shadows. "Feel the love, the joy," Elara urged, and slowly the spirit began to glow brighter, her sorrow lifting like mist under the sun. The wraiths shrieked as the light engulfed them, their forms dissipating into nothingness. The spirit's features softened, her tears turning to shimmering light. "Thank you," she whispered, and in an instant she was enveloped in a brilliant flash before vanishing, leaving behind a single iridescent tear, a sign of her gratitude. Elara reached down and picked up the tear of the glade, its glow pulsating in her palm. "We did it," she breathed, awe filling her voice. We helped her find peace. With newfound determination, the group turned to each other, eyes sparkling with hope. "One relic down," Lucian declared, a smile breaking across his face. "But the next will be even tougher. We must prepare for whatever Morrigan has in store for us." As they stepped out of Misty Hollow, the sun broke through the treetops, illuminating their path ahead. The shadows seemed less daunting now, and the bonds of friendship that held them together shone brighter than ever. They were ready to face the darkness, one challenge at a time.